What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millsy, back with Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the commander in front of us on my quest to brew the magic world. As always, the deck list is going to be down for you in the description below, as well as I would appreciate anything you can do to interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, use the links in the description. I appreciate all of it. Today we're finishing up our last full week of Modern Horizons 3 content. We still got a few more Modern Horizons things left we're going to start covering next week when we get to Assassin's Creed, but I figured I'd round out this last full week with a couple stragglers. Today we're going to talk about a reprint of a very popular commander in Kaalia of the Vast. This commander has been around for a long time, many reprints, but I like this reprint specifically because we get this pretty new borderless version you see here, as well as a profile version for Kaalia. So lots of new printings for Kaalia. I do believe she got a printing in a borderless in either Double Masters or Double Masters 2022. So lots of printings here, but Kaalia is an interesting commander, so let's talk about it. A 4-mana 2/2 human cleric with flying sever. Whenever she attacks an opponent, you may put an angel, demon, or dragon card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that opponent. In all reality, when you read Kaalia, you understand what she's trying to do. It's a very straightforward deck. You attack, you put something devastating that you get to cheat in for free, and you hope that the thing you're cheating in for free really can turn the tide of the combat that you're in. A lot of the dragons, angels, and demons we're going to talk about are either going to make the game very hard for our opponents to deal with, make us hit even harder, or just in general get us a ton of value as we're attacking. As well as we'll talk about some ways that we could take extra combats, getting more Kaalia triggers and more damage into our opponents. This presentation isn't as long as a lot of my other decks because I think it's very straightforward what we're trying to do. It's just going to come down to which of these you choose. Well, let's get into the stars of the show, our dragons, angels, and demons. We have things like the ancient dragons. We have brass and copper here in the main board. Both of them, when they deal combat damage to a player, you get to roll a d20 and you get to do a certain result. For copper, it's a number of treasures. For ancient brass, it's a mass reanimation where X on your roll is total mana value from graveyards. Both of these, again, being able to cheat them in attacking a player that maybe doesn't have a flyer means we can hopefully guarantee them get hit in and get a bunch of value from them. What I like about brass here is that it allows you to get back maybe creatures that you've already cheated in after they've died. Avacyn, of course, giving all the other permanents indestructible unless she has permanent indestructible, basically forcing your opponents to either mass exile or mass bounce the board to get around the fact that you're just dumping in these big threats your opponents have to deal with. Blast Furnace Hellkite, giving all creatures attacking our opponents double strike, making any threat that comes down from our hand even harder to deal with. Gisela, giving all damage that we dealt to an opponent or permanent opponent controls doubled, and have all that would be dealt to us or permanent we control rounded up. Means that, again, we're going to hit harder and harder. Again, the goal here is put things down from our hand that give us advantage and start hitting hard as we work towards ending the game. Hoarding Broodlord, when it comes in, searches for a library, exiles it face down, and then shuffles. And for as long as that card remains exiled, you can play it, and we can convoke it out. Again, the goal here is to go either get a land if we really need it, or an important spell or enchantment if we really need it, have it there, and then play it when need be, and then you just have a 7/6 body that's coming in and dealing with our opponents. A couple fun demons. Lord of the Void, whenever it deals damage to a player, we exile the top 7 of that player's library and put a creature card from among them on the battlefield under control. Just steal our opponent's good creatures. We can hit the right ones. Razaketh, pay 2 life to sack another creature to search our library for a card and put that into our hand. What I like about Razaketh here is we could sacrifice maybe a creature or a token, maybe whenever our creature creates, to just go get an angel or demon or a dragon we want, and just get it into our hand and get it ready to go. Razaketh is also an 8/8 with flying and trample. And then Rudescar Demon, when it ETB, search the library for a card, put into our hand. Again, this comes in tapped attacking and can seed our hand for the next turn or the next combat when we can put another fun, devastating creature down. And then a couple dragons, Terra Mount Velis. When ETBs, creatures we control get double strike until end of turn, and then it has double strike. You know, if we have a couple creatures already down, Mount Velis can just make our whole board into a very difficult thing to deal with when it comes to double strike. Terror the Peaks will start doling out damage as creatures come in. And then Udvara Hellkite, whenever a dragon we control attacks, we make a 6/6 dragon token. Udvara won't happen the turn it comes down because it wouldn't have declared an attack. But every turn after that, Udvar is going to start making 6/6 dragons that are going to be attacking as well. So as you can see, There's a lot of options here. In fact, this Kaalia deck is slightly higher on the budget level than I normally make for a deck, but it's just because it's very difficult in this deck to make it without putting some of your budget into this slot right here, the things you want to cheat in. And my argument would be, I don't think you really want to play Kaalia unless you want to play these things that you want to cheat in. Well, as far as multiple combat goes, I mean, we are playing creatures like Bloodthirster and a few others that just untap themselves and have multiple combats. The only bad part there is you don't get the Kaalia trigger because Kaalia actually has to attack to do it. So I thought we'd talk about a couple things that can do that. Earlier, the War Leader says whenever it attacks the first time each turn, we untap all creatures you control, and after this phase, there's additional combat phase. This would untap Kaalia and allow us to attack again. The only downside to something like these multiple combat abilities, and I want to make sure I say it off the rip, is that if we cheat a creature in, that creature doesn't have haste. If we untap it for a second combat, it's not going to be able to attack. So I think it's one of those things where when we talk about multiple combats, you want to hit them at the right snowball level so that you're untapping a lot of creatures and still able to attack with them, or do enough things in your hand, right, that you want to cheat in to make it really worth it. Overpowering attack from ACR says untap all creatures you control that attack this turn. With your main phase, there's additional combat after this phase, followed by additional main phase. There's plenty of these sorcery speed, get an extra combat. It says untap all creatures you control that attack this turn. The only slight downside of that is anything we brought in, tapped and attacking, won't be counted as attacking, but we can free run this for just three mana as long as Kaalia hits, which I think is important. And then Agasol, a 5 mana repeatable, untap all creatures you control, additional combat, activate only as a sorcery, the classic, extra combat's enchantment. But again, this is not the main point of the deck, but it's a way to support us, again, continuing to cheat in these really important things and moving towards winning the game. But I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. No deck's ever complete. This is my version 1.0 version of the deck, and this is my version 1.0 with someone who doesn't play a ton of Kaalia, right? He's really never played it before. So there's going to be intricacies I miss. But these were the 3 cards that I really wanted to add in. I just wanted to try other things over these 3, but I think they make sense for creatures in the deck. Ancient Gold Dragon. When it deals combat damage to a player, you roll a d20, you make that many fairy dragon tokens. Seems like a really great idea, especially pairing with some of the things we have, especially like Razaketh, could sacrifice them to search for cards, or things like Utvara that would then allow them to make 6/6s. Again, there's a lot of synergies, but when you're trying to limit that creature pool down, you have to cut something. Archfiend of Depravity, beginning each player's end step, that player chooses 2 creatures they control sacrifice each opponent. So this is going to help limit our opponents on what they can block with and potentially get us in for more in combat. And then Scourge of the Throne. If it attacks for the first time each turn, it's attacking the player with the most life or tied for the most life. Untap all attacking creatures after this phase. There's additional combat. I like Scourge of the Throne a ton. The only problem with Scourge of the Throne I see happening in this deck is we're going to be doling out a lot of damage. And I have a feeling we're going to end up always being the person tied for having the most life, unless our opponents are really hitting us back. And so I just don't see Scourge of the Throne being as good as I think it is in other decks. But it is an option. It's a little bit cheaper on the scale, as money-wise, for dragons, if that's what you're looking for. But let's get into our playtests. Keeping a 3-lander here with Falwar Stone, Talisman of Indulgence, a Bloodthirster, which is one of the ones that can untap itself and keep attacking, and then Aurelia the War Leader. So a great mix of cards here. Turn 1, we'll get that path down. I mean, it's going to come in tapped anyway. Don't really see the point in not. Turn 2, we'll get two of our opponent's lands down and get our Talisman down. This means that we'll be able to play Kaalia. This means that we'll be able to play Kaalia here on turn 3, getting the vault down and then doing that. Kaalia is a creature that matches a type, so we're going to look at the top, and it is a Ag Assault. I mean, I guess we might as well leave it at top. Work our way towards that. This turn, we're sitting at 5 mana. I like the idea of Tear the Peaks and then attacking with Kaalia and being able to hit somebody for the damage that would be caused by Tear the Peaks, or we could get Falwar Stone and Aggravated Assault down, and cheat in something like Aurelia this turn to set it up for attack for next turn. Lots of options. I think I kind of like the idea of Felwar Stone, and the Ag Assault here sets us up for multiple combats in the future. We would go ahead and attack with the Kaalia. I would just probably put Terror of the Peaks in. Well, let's think about this. If I put Aurelia in this turn, I could get 2 triggers next turn, but it would come down to what we draw, right? Off of the... Yeah, let's do Aurelia. Somebody's going to hit for 3. Again, unfortunately, we don't get that ability because already declared the attack. But that's okay. We're setting up for next turn where hopefully we can get some more good damage. And so turn 5 here. Copper's, oh, geez, almost a near perfect draw if you think about it. Because now we're at 6 mana. I mean, the argument could be that you just slam Peaks here. And I think it is because if we're going to cheat in Copper Dragon and it hits and we roll anything higher than, 5 on a d20, we can take some extra combats. The only downside is it doesn't have haste, right? So it's not going to get the second combat. But I think if we roll high enough, we also have just Ruinous Ultimatum. So I would just go ahead and hard cast Terror of the Peaks. Move to combat. I would attack with Kaalia and Aurelia. I would drop the Copper and tap to attacking. That's going to dome somebody for 6 because the Terror of the Peaks. We're going to tap all creatures we control. There's additional combat. We would go to damage. Let's say that Ancient Copper hits because I think it's more than likely on turn 5 that somebody's not going to have a flyer. And it's for 10, so we just basically are going to make 10 treasures here. So at 10 treasures, we could go another combat. Again, the problem is we can't attack a second time with the copper or anything else. But I would move to the second combat, attack again, drop the Bloodthirster, dome somebody for 6 more damage. And then, in all reality, we could Ruinous Ultimatum, but I have a feeling that this board state's probably just going to mean the end of the game anyway. So I would just pass the turn. And I feel like on this turn, we're going to see something. So here you go. Untap all creatures you control. If it's your combat phase, there's an additional combat after this phase. So now when we untap, all of these creatures now don't need haste anymore. And so now, as long as Copper continues to get us over 5 on the roll, we can literally infinitely use Aggravated Assault to continue to get more combats and just deal damage. Bloodthirster, unfortunately, will run out of targets. So Bloodthirster is going to drop off after the 3rd combat. But I mean, we have 11 damage in the air and a repeatable way to continue to take combats. Again, as long as Copper Dragon rolls over a 5, which is a 15 out of 20, right? A 75% chance on the dice roll. And we're starting with 10 of them already. So, I mean, it isn't going to take very long. And then you have something like Great Train Heist to give them +1/+1 first strike, or make a tap, or just take another combat if we need to with it. Again, this is a board state where it's not going to take very long to win the game at that point, what we've proven on board. Here, we're keeping a 3-lander Plaza Heroes with Ishin, Flawless Maneuver, and Lyra. So we have a target drop down. Ishin can double up Kaalia's trigger, which is really nice. So we'll start with a turn 1. I guess I have no way to get that Isolated Chapel in untapped at the moment, so I think it makes sense just to drop her in tapped. Turn 2, we'll get the Rugged Prairie down, and again, nothing to do for 2 mana, that's okay. I think next turn we probably just drop Ishin into Kaalia the Vast, is what I'm thinking. Unless our plans get changed. Turn 3, I think I still see that as being our plan. 3 mana into Ishin. Now Ishin's going to start doubling up Kaalia, so all we need to do is just start stacking those creatures in our hand. The cool part is once we have Kaalia down, we have the Flawless Maneuver to protect the board, and we could always sack Ishin to the Flare of Fortitude to also protect the board. So we've got a little bit of protection in our hand here, which is really important. So turn 4, Plaza of Heroes, Kaalia. And we can make an attack here if we want to with Ishin, but again, if there's no good attacks, that's okay, because we don't really need to put Ishin at risk. We're basically going to have a nice, double drop here next turn, getting some lifelink and set protection. So we'll go here, turn 5, draw Ruinous Ultimatum, move to combat, attack with Kaalia. Kaalia's going to trigger twice. We'll put Lyra down, and then we'll put Sephara down. So now Safaria has +1/+1 and lifelink. I made it hardy app liking, so it's an 8/8. So we're getting 13 this turn, plus the 2 damage from Thalia. So we're gaining 13 life back, and we're sitting here with the protection for our board in case somebody has removal. Draw for turn. We see Angel of Serenity, which says when it ETBs, you may exile up to 3 other target creatures from the battlefield and/or creature cards from the graveyard, and when it leaves, return the exiled cards to their owner's hand. So here, I guess what? Play the Swiftfoot Boots, put it on Kaalia, just to protect her. Move to combat, drop the Serenity on the 1 trigger. Again, gain some more life here, deal some damage, clear some pesky blockers on the way. Safar gives other creatures with flying indestructible, so everything but Ishan has indestructible. And again, we're sitting here with protection, we're sitting here with creatures. If we draw no other creatures this game, we're still doing 8 plus 6 is 14, plus Lyra's 19 damage in the air with lifelink every turn. And I mean, sitting here with 2 pieces of protection, I have a gut feeling this board state just leads to a win almost straight out. But let me know, what do you think of Kaalia down in the comment section below? Kaalia is not new. I mean, I know people know who Kaalia is. She's not new by any means, but she's not somebody I brewed for the channel, so I thought it'd be fun to do that, especially with the reprint Mono Horizons 3. And I wanted to see what fun I could have with this. But let me know what you think of Kaalia down in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys next time.